Hello, I'm Rebecca of Pocketful of Posies. In today's video, I will be creating a transforming or transformation dress. I'm really excited about this, and when I started this process, I was a little intimidated trying to figure out how to make this happen on stage because it's going to be for a production of Cinderella. Now, I started off with a mock-up, and I watched quite a few videos, or at least whatever I could find on YouTube, to try to figure out how to make this happen in the easiest way possible, and I will link all of those videos down below. So let's get into figuring out how to make this transformation gown. Here we go. I used a free pattern for the bodice, the So Can Do Sleeveless Sunday Girls Dress. I made this mock-up child size to save on materials and time since I will be experimenting with breakaway methods. Another free pattern for the sleeves. It's In the Folds Peppermint Ruffle Sleeve Top. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. For the waistband, so I sewed up a little skirt. I just used the full width of some, I think it's 60-inch fabric, so it's enough. This is going to be the underskirt, and I'm going to just put a little waistband on it and probably add some velcro or a snap or something to close it. And then for the waistband, because I don't know her exact waist measurement, so I'm just going to measure the bodice and use that as my waist measurement, and then, you know, make sure she can overlap it if she needs to, if it's too big. And that will just be the underskirt. And then for the overskirt that hides the dress, I'm going to, I guess I'll go ahead and, how do I want to do that? I'm gonna attach it to this as well, so they will have the same waistband, and that one will hang down, and then once the dress is on, the ball gown is on, the ball gown will be kind of folded up underneath, and the bodice will go over that, and then the overskirt and skirt go on. Well, actually they will go on first, yes. And then the ball gown skirt will be folded up, and then the overskirt will be pulled up, and I'm going to attach ribbons to kind of come over, and there will be snaps on the inside of the bodice at the bottom that those ribbons will snap to, so that will bustle up the overskirt. That's the plan. Okay, so my plan for the transforming bodice is to do the front and the back separately. So I'll line the front piece all the way, or well, not here, there's a fold, but all the way around. I'll leave the bottom open to turn it out, and then with the back piece I guess I didn't need to cut, I could have cut this on a fold. Unless I put a zipper or something in. Depending on how the closures work with the either Velcro or snaps. In the real one I might want to put a zipper in the back. But for this one I'm just going to sew up the back seam, and then on both the lining and the outer fabric, and then line the back piece separately. So all of the edges will be encased. So there won't be any raw edges except for at the bottom, and I will just turn those up. And I definitely will want more stiffening in the real bodice. So some interfacing, or even some canvas or something. I think in the real bodice I might add some boning as well to help give it a little bit better shape. But on this one, this is just one for a little girl to try, and then just kind of a proof of concept. I'm probably going to do on one side I'm going to do velcro, and on the opposite side I'm going to do snaps and kind of see which one works better. I'm hesitant to use velcro because it makes noise, so it possibly will be picked up by the microphones. And also there's the chance that it could get stuck on something underneath the dress and create some kind of havoc that way. So I'm more inclined towards snaps, but we'll see. There's also the possibility, I saw a video on YouTube of a professional production, or at least a semi-professional production, not like the Broadway production, but a production with, you could tell, a decent budget for costumes and scenery and lighting, and like they had a moon that was up in the air that the fairy godmother was sitting on, that so she flew through the air. Anyway, they had a budget. They did the side of her bodice up with fishing line somehow, but they didn't really show close enough on the seam to see exactly how it was done. I am suspecting loops or some kind of hooks or rings maybe that the fishing line kind of spirals through, and then it had a pull tab at the bottom that was actually just a weight, and when she pulled on either side, and the dress just, the bodice just came apart. Now I couldn't tell how it came apart at the top. I'm wondering if it was just fishing lined all the way up to through the shoulder. I don't know. It was, you know, it's so fast when they show you, even when they show putting it on, they don't show how it's actually done up. They show how it comes apart, but she's spinning and there's lights and everything, so it's kind of hard to tell. I mean, obviously the fishing line is pulled out and the bodice comes apart, but how does it come apart at the shoulders? These are things I don't know. But I think for our purposes, snaps or Velcro will work best, because this is a student production, so Cinderella will most likely be a teen and not a professional musical theater performer, but we'll see what happens. So I am going to go ahead and line the bodice front and the bodice back, and then figure out the sleeve. This sleeve is huge. I didn't have a child-sized sleeve, and so this is just like an extra small sleeve. But I guess it'll be poofy, but it's like the same size as the bodice. So we'll have to see how that goes. But the sleeve will also need to be cut up the middle and have Velcro or snaps. So it will just, and then it will not be fully, oops. So where it attaches under the arm, it will be attached separately on either side. So because the side seam will come apart, so the sleeve will come apart underneath as well as on the top. That's the idea, that's the plan. Here we go. So I ended up sewing it all the way around and leaving the arms open because I attached half the sleeve and I couldn't figure out how to attach the lining without it getting in the way. So that's what I did. So I'm going to trim the seam allowance, clip the corners and around the neckline, and then do the front. Alright, for the bodice front, I did not add the sleeves before I sewed the lining because I realized after I sewed the sleeves on the back that it was trouble that way, or more trouble. Wasn't really trouble, but more trouble. So I'm going to attach the sleeves to the outer fabric, and then I will fold the lining over those raw edges and just whip stitch that down. Maybe do it by the machine. I don't know. I'm probably going to do top stitching all around once I get it all, both pieces put together. And yeah, I'm thinking this is going to work okay. The only thing I'm a little concerned about is that it seems like there's not a lot of overlap at the side, and it seems like the armholes are really small, so not quite sure about that or why that would be, because it's going to need to overlap at least a little bit to fasten. So it seems like, and then if it's overlapping up top, seems like a really strangely shaped armhole. But we shall see. I might have to adjust things. For the ball gown bodice, I used the same pattern, but I altered the neckline and on the front and the back, and the shoulder strap I made it a little bit narrower. So it's just going to be, it's not going to be super low cut or anything because this is for a little girl, but it'll just be different than the outer one. Okay, I'm moving on to the overskirt, and I took 2 panels of 60-inch wide fabric. It's very wide, very big for this small waist size, but it is what it is. And then I could use the selvage edge, and I didn't have to finish the inside, which is actually going to be the outside because it's pulled up and kind of bustled so that the ball gown will be inside this. So when it comes down, the ball gown releases. But anyway, so I ran gathering stitch around the waistline, and I made a twill tape waistband. So I'm going to get this all gathered down, put it on the waistband, and then I'll hem the bottom. So my bodice pieces are together, both sides, the back and the front, and I sewed the sleeves on, and then I turned the lining in around the arm side. So my next step, now I was considering doing one side Velcro and one side snaps, but I'm pretty certain I'm not going to use Velcro in the show, so I feel like why even bother? So I'm going to do snaps, and we're going to see how that goes. I'm going to reinforce where I put the snaps. Now in the actual bodice, it will be heavier material. there will be interlining and probably boning and all of that. But this one I'm not doing that, but I am going to reinforce these sides where I'm going to put the snaps. I'm just going to sew twill tape on each side just so there's a little extra there. And then I'll do the same for the front side. The sleeves, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to sew twill tape. I'm going to sew twill tape down the sleeve, and then where they're going to overlap, and then I'll sew snaps onto that. The green one here is the underskirt, and then I've got this one, which is the overskirt. Now, I tied the side. It's very, very sloppy, very messy, because I was just trying to get it done. But I did put Velcro here because the kid I'm going to be trying this on, I don't know her exact waist measurement, so I wanted to have some give. And I think even this might be too big for her, even fully Velcroed. But we'll see. But anyway. So I sewed these twill tape ties on, again very sloppy, and attached a snap to the end of each one. So there are 4 in total. And then once this goes on, the ball gown skirt will go over it and then be pulled up kind of under the bodice, and then this will be pulled up and kind of bustled up, and so it'll actually be the hem of it will be up in the bodice, and then this will be snapped to the bodice. So the ball gown skirt will be inside this pocket basically that we're creating. Now I am a little worried. I think I may have made these ties too short, but if so, we'll see. And if they're too short, I'll know for future. And of course it all depends on the height of the girl playing Cinderella, and so because since this is will be attached to the bodice, when it comes apart it will hang down and stay attached to these snaps. I might use plastic snaps instead of metal, that are actually, you know, set into the fabric as opposed to sewn on, just to give it more stability. But for this I'm just using the metal snaps. And but yeah, it can't hang down. You don't want the bodice hanging down lower than her ankles at the very longest, because you don't want her stepping on it, even though she's only going to wear it briefly for that one transformation scene, and then she'll take the under stuff off for the actual ball scene. But you don't want her tripping on that hanging down bodice, so we'll go from there. So I wanted to do a little experiment, and I'm going to do it again with fishing line, but I don't have any at this moment. But I just kind of want to see if we try to do the like magic spider weaving thing, how it would work. So we're just gonna kind of try this out. I'm gonna try something a little thicker, just some embroidery floss, just to try. And made a mistake and did my hem facing upwards or facing outward on the back side, but whatever. This is a mock-up. I got my spider rigging loops on. Now, because I decided to do this after I already put the twill tape on for snaps, I put the twill tape on the outside on the back because I was thinking, oh, it's going to overlap, so I need to do it like that. But I just went ahead and put the loop tape on top of the twill tape, and that'll be fine. I mean, this is a this is a proof of concept mock-up, so it's not going to be that big of a deal. But so this strip will be seen on the side. But the idea is that we'll have some fishing line weave through the loop tape all the way up to here. The end will have a pull, like a weight or something to grab onto, and then it will be, hopefully it will be done, it weaves through and the tension is enough that it holds it together. And then when you pull the pull tab thing, or the loop or weight or whatever it's going to be, then all of the fishing line will just come out. Whoop. And I just did this on the side seam and under the arm on the sleeve, and there's not really a way with this particular bodice to do it to release the top, so I think I'm just going to do snaps again on the top up here and just kind of see how that goes. Of course, ideally, if the spider rigging is going to work, the bodice, so here's the shoulder seam up here, right? Now, I saw a version of the dress, of a Cinderella dress, transformer dress, where the shoulder seam was actually down here, lower, and that allowed the fishing line to come up here, one line to come up here, and across to hold that seam together, and then the other one to hold the sleeve on, the sleeve under the arm. And so it was two on each side that are attached to the same pull, and they get pulled out. But I'm not going to do that on this one, only because it's got a lot to go all the way up to the shoulder, top of the shoulder, and down this sleeve. It's got a lot further to go. The one that I saw, I'll link it down below. The sleeve didn't split. It was the full sleeve, but then it was attached with the fishing line under the arm. So when the seam here split, then this split, and so the whole sleeve went to the back. But we're experimenting. Time to sew the ball gown. Okay, my skirt has the gathering stitches sewn up. I cut a slit at the top of the skirt for the closure. I still need to decide how I want to close it. Perhaps Velcro, since this is for a little girl dress-up dress, or maybe a zipper if I've got a green one. And then I will attach the skirt to the bodice. And I also have this piece of thing. I've had this sitting around for a while. I had the lace just pinned on, and so I gave it a hem. I hemmed the edges and got the lace attached, and so I think I'm going to use this as kind of an overskirt. I'm going to have it, because I think this was originally supposed to be like a part of a Victorian overskirt that I never made and never finished. I don't even remember what project it was for, but it's been sitting in a box for quite some time. And so that's my idea, is to just attach this on top of the skirt as well. Why is this not even? Anyway, not that it matters, because I'm just gonna have it probably just be open in the back. I might sew up some of the back, and then, but I'll gather up the edges so it's like poofy around the sides. That's my idea anyway. So I need to iron this, because like I said, it's been in a box, crumpled up for years. So let's go. Skirt sewn on, and the overlay. The skirt is hemmed. I did a narrow hem. So now I'm going to attach the lining to the skirt. I'm just going to fold it up and then whip stitch it. I could do that on the machine as well, but I'm just going to do it by hand. So, and then a closure, and this is done, except for I'm going to figure out how to like gather up this overskirt so it looks fancy and poofy. I made a little hip pad too. Let's try it out. How would you make a breakaway costume? Let me know down in the comments. The fishing line worked really well. I am definitely going to use that method when I make Cinderella's costume. Snaps were okay, but you have to pull them with exactly the right amount of force on both sides to have both sides release at the same time. Velcro? No. Too loud. I will next make a mock-up in my size to really test out the fishing line method, so stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you spending your time with me. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe if you haven't, and if you'd like to be notified whenever I upload, you can hit that little bell icon. If you'd like to support the channel further, I have a Ko-fi account, and that is linked down below. Again, thank you so much, and I will see you on our next sewing adventure. Bye!